Doing fine, so leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone. I'm doing fine, so leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone. I'm doing fine, so leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone. I'm doing fine, so leave me alone, so leave me alone, so leave me alone, leave me alone.
And it's that time of year, Terry Holloman on Anarchist Jurisdiction and media outlets across the country, where we reflect on all the high points and low points of the past 365 days. 2020 is gone for me and you in about 6 hours, for the East Coast, about 3 hours. And most people I don't think are going to mourn the passage and the transition from 2020 into 2021. Although, I will say this, I think a lot of people are very much expecting that just because the calendar switches to a new year tomorrow, all the ills that we suffered through in 2020 will just magically disappear.
You mean they don't? I mean,
Sorry.
According to whatever thing I know, as soon as the clock strikes midnight, all of our woes, all of our troubles that we faced in 2020 will be magically gone.
Here's the great thing,
what I
though.
was told.
Let's say that they don't. Let's say 2021 is as bad as 2020. At least this year we're like prepared for it from January 1st. Last year it just felt like, this is going to be not the best year in American or world history, but certainly, in the first couple months we're like, things are fine, but not great. And then, the world fell to shit. This year, at least on January 1st, the world starts in shit. And then, maybe flowers will grow, or maybe it'll just remain a pile of shit.
So, at least you can hope for that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
No flies or maggots. Just steaming pot.
But despite all that,
itself.
Tonight's it's a night for get-togethers, or maybe many via Zoom or some other streaming service. But people are connecting for the last time this year, and I have seen a couple of people try to say things that they're thankful for this year, which I think is a very selfish thing to do.
Why? Why? You should be absolutely not thankful for anything at all.
No. Did you have a kid born this year? Keep it to your damn self. Did you get a job promotion? Zip it. Save it for next year.
Did your unemployment check come in?
Shut up.
Hush.
Yeah.
Who cares? That's the Zach I know and love.
Exactly. But I think that's the struggles that a lot of us, not all of us, I mean, some people didn't really feel the effects this year as much as others, obviously, but it did. I think that it certainly brought me closer. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yes.
My mom's goddamn iPad makes a sound every 4 fucking seconds.
I've never heard an iPad make that noise before, so that's some brand new stuff for me. Maybe it's if you guys can't tell, Zach is in a new location. He has barn doors in the back, and I'm going to ask him where he's at and what those barn doors are all about as soon as he comes in. And why he has his mom's iPad. That's another question we need to know.
Did you know that you could have like sound alerts for solitaire? Apparently,
what are you alerting yourself that it's your turn to play?
I don't know. That thing makes a sound literally every 3 minutes.
Before we go any further, Zach, while you were gone, I was having a conversation.
Okay.
And I was wondering aloud 2 things. First of all, there are barn doors behind you, and we have never seen barn doors in your background before.
True.
Those of us who have paid attention to the Anarchist Jurisdiction.
Yes.
That's number 1. And number 2, why is your mom's iPad going off?
Oh, right. Because I'm at my parents' house in Palm Desert, California. Let's see where I've been in the past. So the last time, Terry, you and I got together was on the 22nd of December, and I was in New Jersey at the time.
Yes.
And since then, I got into a car and drove all the way across the country.
Oh, you did a Griswold.
A Griswold, yes, with stops in Lynchburg, Virginia,
Okay.
Nashville, Tennessee, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Galisteo, which is a tiny little town. And when I say town, like it doesn't even have it has a church, nothing else. Outside of Santa Fe in New Mexico. And then here, final stop, Palm Desert, California. And I'm here for a couple of days and then on to my new home, which will be Los Angeles, California.
That's right. That's been the big mystery for a few weeks now that you haven't even told me about. I don't know if it's going to be something you're going to unleash on me surprisingly for New Year's Eve, or if I still have to wait longer to get the info. What's going on?
I can tell you privately, it's stupid. You know, I got a radio job out there, and they're all dumb about announcements, as if anyone gives a good goddamn what I'm doing next or how that's going to sully this multi-million-dollar company. But I can't make a public announcement. I mean, seriously, I can't. I'm being very serious right now that I can't make this announcement.
Right. So I won't. It's not like I'm going to be your ex-partner.
No. This show will never end, Terry. You're stuck with me. Yes.
Oh, great.
Right. I am the HPV of co-hosts.
That's refreshing.
But I have to know that's been my past week. So here I am.
Great.
I need to know what's going on in the Holloman household tonight. I have two questions.
Okay.
The first is, are you staying up till midnight West Coast time?
I am going to try. I'm going to make a valiant attempt in my old manness to stay up until midnight. At least until midnight, like till 12:05. That's my goal.
12:05. It counts. 12:05 means you made it into the new year. Yeah. I am going to try to as well, but the people in this house don't seem to be along for that ride.
They're not keen.
No, I think they're ready. They're right around 9:03 p.m. will be when they're checking out. Because they did the one thing that the West Coast needs to get its act together on is we need something equivalent to the ball dropping. Because we're watching tape 3 hours later, and pretending like it's happening now.
Yeah,
and we're our own force. And there's no reason that we need to rely on New York City to provide the visual for our countdown.
Well, the beautiful thing about living in Seattle prior to 2019 was that we did have the Space Needle. The Space Needle was pretty cool. They used to launch off fireworks from the Space Needle, and then they were doing it off in Lake Union for a while. And this year, no such deal, obviously because of COVID. So I was watching television last night, as a matter of fact, and they were talking about New Year's Eve from the Space Needle, blah, 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 this year. And I was like, oh, wow, they're going to do it. Okay. How? I don't know how, what. And then they showed the Space Needle, and they showed these crazy lights coming out of the Space Needle top. And I was like, how are they doing that? Like, that's pretty cool lighting. Who invented that type of lighting? And you know what it is? Virtual. It's not even real. They're doing some digital computer online.
They're CGIing it for the television audience. Oh man, that's not sufficient.
No.
But obviously they can't do a real fireworks show because groups will assemble. If you have fireworks, people are they're gonna gather and they're gonna watch the fireworks. So that ain't gonna happen. And I think even last year, due to high winds, they didn't have a legit fireworks show. Yep. They did the light thing again.
Yep.
But nobody outside of Seattle knows that's happening. Even
that's true.
I feel like we need to unite at least the three states of that have a kind of a loose bond: Oregon, Washington, and California. Right. We need something to compete with the ball in Times Square.
You would think that LA would have done something as as big as the international hub as it is, and the whole connection with Hollywood and the entertainment industry and everything. You would think so, right? I've spent like maybe three New Year's Eves in Los Angeles, California, and they were the lamest New Year's I've ever had.
Really?
Like, oh my God! Like Seattle was way better on New Year's Eve than LA. Maybe it's because I was poor in LA. Maybe if you're rich in LA, it's a good place to be. But like the first time I went, I was with my buddy, and we were in South Central Los Angeles, for New Year's Eve. And that's where you don't want to be. Because I was looking, we were like, okay, we're going to go out. Everybody's getting dressed. And then it got to midnight, and they're like, okay, we're not leaving the house now. And then I was like, I was like, why? Then all of a sudden,
yeah.
Pop, 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 pop. I was like, oh, okay. Those aren't fireworks.
Right. Were they celebratory though, or were they? Yeah. Okay.
They were celebratory. So, and then so I remember vividly, so my first time being there for that, looking around, they had billboards up that said it was about shooting guns on New Year's Eve. It was like billboards that said, bullets that go up must come down.
Right.
Be careful on New Year. Like, I swear to God, I'm not making that up. Like on billboards all around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So tonight they will be shooting.
They will be
across America, and I'm giving you guys the warning to please be safe.
Law of gravity. Even bullets, they don't just go into the orbit
and stay.
They don't just start floating around like a satellite. Number two. Yeah, that is. I really wish I want to see a picture of that billboard, because that is a hysterical PSA.
I may have to Google it to see if they have it, but I remember what the hell is it? Really? Is that going to happen? They're like, yeah.
Do you remember the year where you made the transition? Because New Year's Eve used to be it was a big party night, up till 4 a.m. Raging fun, and then we are where we are now. But I don't know if that was a transition for me, or just one year I was like, you know what, this is not fun. This isn't fun anymore. Let me make this as quiet as possible.
I'm trying to recall. I was never ever a really a big New Year's Eve party guy. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I think when I was in college, that's I was the prime age, early 20s, right, to be partying and hanging out and doing like that. So I was obviously trying to play football on New Year's Eve, college years, right?
Right.
And so a couple of those times I played on the day before New Year's, and so that was the one year I stayed in Los Angeles and hung out when they were shooting, and we didn't get to leave the house. The following year, I think. I'll give you a quick story, an anecdote, Zach, as I love to do.
Yeah.
So I don't believe I've ever told you this story, but one year, my roommate, when I was at the University of Washington, was going to be one of the top draft picks in the entire draft. The best at his position in the country. I don't
want to say his name, but would passing the bar exam have something to do with his first name?
It probably would.
Okay.
In that game. So we're playing that game this year. Okay. So I'm going to try to make this story really quick as possible. But this happened on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
We went to a bowl game that we played on, I think it was the 30th. We came home, and we had lived in this townhouse, this condo, for an entire, for the entire year, and we didn't have a washer and dryer that worked. We had a washer and dryer. We got a washer and dryer from a swap meet, and the dryer was a natural gas dryer that we didn't know. We had no idea.
Yeah.
So we come home from our bowl game, and my roommate gets the bright idea that we're going to hook our dryer before we go out. We're going to hook the dryer up to our propane tank from our barbecue grill.
Right.
leaving out all the middle story. He was like, "You want to come help me?" I was like, "Nah, man." He was like, "Cool, well, then you can't use the dryer then." Blah blah blah. I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
No kidding. 5 minutes later, I hear the loudest explosion I've ever heard in my life. Ever. I go upstairs and our whole bathroom is on fire. It's on fire. The door is blown off the hinges. It's down the stairs. Like the door came down the stairs. And my roommate was on fire. He was trying to put himself out. And I'll just leave it at that. And he would tell you to this day that's his closest near-death experience ever. And it was like literally like 2 months before the draft.
Right.
And that was on New Year's Eve. So that was New Year's Eve. Like we stopped after we finally put the fire out. We looked at each other like, "You ready to go out?" Yeah. And we just left.
I love the stupidity, but the confidence that he had in stupidity. Like gas is gas is gas. It doesn't matter.
Do it.
Yeah. It's
it doesn't blow up your barbecue grill.
Wow, blew the door down the stairs.
Blew the attic roof. The attic had an attic in the hallway. Blew the roof out of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we did not get our damage deposit back.
Clearly. That is something that a landlord is going to frown upon and keep that deposit for.
Oh yeah.
Since we are in New Year's Eve, I lived in Boston once, and this actually isn't a New Year's Eve story. This is an almost set fire to the house story. And I lived with a real with someone who was neurotic is a very polite way of putting it. They got a letter from a school that they'd applied to announcing that they had not been accepted into that school. So they went into an emotional tizzy. And what they decided to do was set that letter on fire and then throw it out the window in some sort of cleansing exercise. Now it was a college house, so none of us were really considerate when it came to upkeep of the house. So there were gutters, but they were clogged with probably 4.5 years worth of leaves. The letter falls into slides down into the leaves, and then the leaves start catching fire, and then the roof starts catching fire, and at that point, the house is officially on fire. Like now we need an emergency response team, a fire department.
First responders.
We needed the first responders. And the best thing is that everyone's main concern at first wasn't, wow, the house is on fire. The first concern was, do we have all of our drugs? And how much time do we have to go get all of our drugs before?
We do not need anyone going rifling through our things.
No, thank you. Well, there's two bad things that could happen, because when the fire department comes, the police come as well. And, I think I understand police procedures well enough now to understand just because your house is on fire doesn't mean they're going to look through all your drawers for drugs.
Right.
But we were
think that in the moment as a college student.
A college student on drugs.
Oh,
who's not thinking,
no.
The last person you want to see is any sort of authority figure. Certainly not a police officer or even even a firefighter at that point. So the next 75 seconds was like the most frenetic. It looked like someone had come and ransacked our house, which fortunately, again, we realized the firefighters are there to put out the fire, not to ask any sort of follow-up questions, except for how did the fire start?
How did the fire start? Right.
Because they walked in and like every drawer was pulled open and like thrown out, and like couch cushions were pushed off and everything.
They probably thought some other nefarious activity took place. Like, that's why there's a fire. You guys were in here stealing and knocked over a candle or something. Like,
so when I say we, the arsonist had to explain to the fire department, I set the fire. I got rejected from an art school and got sad about it. Tried to burn the letter, threw the letter out the window, and nearly burned down 9 Islington.
This person would have to obviously. Did he get charged or fined or something?
No, I don't know why.
Setting a fire.
I don't know why. Or maybe they did. I did. Like that is. It's weird. That should be a massive detail.
Yeah.
How did this resolve itself? And I don't remember.
Because you were on all those drugs.
Because part of it was like, well, I can carry some, but I can also carry some inside my body.
God dang, Zach. Were you guys like mules? Like, how much drugs could you possibly have? You're in college. What are you guys doing? You Pablo Escobar? You got.
Well, it was around enough that we forgot it was illegal until you heard sirens, and you're like, "Oh, all of this is illegal."
We're not supposed to have it. This is not 2020, and it is not Seattle. We're not supposed to have it.
Exactly. Yeah, and this would be shit that's still illegal in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Like that. Yeah. Yeah. And then I don't. That's the crazy thing. Like, if I had to write this in a memoir, I just have to make up the ending because I don't know. I don't remember the roof being fixed. I remember the person who set fire to the letter apologized to me as part of step 8 or whatever AA step that is. Like 7 years later.
Hey, Zach, this is Tom. I know. Hey, how you been?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to tell you.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you're in AA, that step is really just bothering a lot of people with shit they don't really want to hear about ever again. At least that's what I felt when I was like, because I saw what was coming and I'm like, no, don't worry about it. Seriously. Because it was fine. We continued living there. I didn't pay any extra money, so no sweat. And they're like, now I have to do this. I'm like, great. Now your program is my bother. I have to be on the phone for another.
I gotta live with this now.
Yeah, now I gotta listen to this.
I got over this shit like 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I gotta relive this and get mad all again.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to do the, I think we should cut it at the 30-minute mark tonight, Terry, because, people's stuff is already underway here, even on the West Coast. Yeah. Certainly on the East Coast. You've probably already had your dinner. I'm assuming. Okay, let's talk about that for a second.
Yes.
Okay, so Terry, if you're just listening to this, just showed me a twisted tea, which is a beverage I did not know still existed. I know that they certainly had their time, but they got probably one of the best pieces of just happenstance viral marketing. Unpaid.
Viral.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this video, and Terry, maybe you should take me through it. Because I watched it, but I watched it knowing what was going to happen. Like I'm like, oh, he's going to say it.
He's going to do it. He's going to say it.
He said it. So it's cell phone footage of 2 people in a convenience store.
Yes.
Pick it up there.
Yeah. So basically, there's actually 3 people in the video. 4 if you count the cashier.
Yeah. Right.
But there is seems like a younger white male. Mm-hmm. At the cash register, getting ready to pay for his stuff, and it was and he didn't have a mask on. Mm-mm. He was maskless, and
that was definitely like he was making a point.
I think like, there was. Yeah.
Sorry, I left it at home. It was like I'm intentionally not wearing a mask.
Yeah, and so the video picks up where he's just basically going at it with the guy behind him who happens to be African American or biracial, possibly, but the dude just starts dropping N-bombs like, "Yo, N-bomb this, N-bomb that," and the dude behind him,
the white dude does.
Yeah, the white dude without the mask, yo, what's up? N-word, where you from? Blah, 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 talking all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the dude behind him was like, don't call me that again. Don't say it again. And the dude just keeps on. And the dude, the African-American guy, was purchasing one of these.
A single can of Twisted Tea.
He had it in his hand. And the dude was like, don't say it again. And so he said it again. And then the dude kind of flipped the can and it dropped on the ground. And as the white guy without the mask kept saying the N-word, he tried to kick the can. The brother picks up the can and bashes the other dude in the head with it. Like, pow! Can sprays everywhere, sprays out, and it turns into a big melee. But it turned into a viral thing with like millions and millions and millions of hits on the internet, where they've made memes and GIFs and all kind of things about it. It's just really taken off. And now everybody's talking about Twisted Tea today.
Yes, because Twisted Tea was like, there was an era once when Twisted Tea was like, you were kind of the hit of the party for bringing a Twisted Tea.
I'll be honest, I had never heard of Twisted Tea.
Oh, I very much remember, because when I first started in radio, they were a big advertiser, and their commercials were like, yeah, you could bring beer and maybe not get laid, or bring Twisted Tea and have a goddamn orgy. Like that was basically
take your pick.
Which do you want?
Yeah, this is literally my first Twisted Tea, man, ever in life. You saw me have my first sip ever.
Yeah, how you liking it?
It's twisted.
Yeah,
and tea at the same time.
And if I remember correctly, Twisted Tea is rather high. It's got a rather high alcohol percentage.
Yeah, it's what I was concerned. Like I knew I was going to use it as a prop today.
Yeah.
Right? After I saw the video, and I was like, I got to do something for Twisted Tea, and I went to the convenience store to pick it up, and I'm asking the guy, I'm like, where do I find the Twisted Tea at? Where I find it? He's like, it's right there, right by the Four Loko. Oh, shit. No, it can't be by the Four Loko. Sure enough, it's Four Loko Twisted Tea. So, yeah, it is a malt beverage with select teas. And it's got a little bite to it. 5%? Oh,
it's 5%.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a tall ass can.
It's a big can of any kind of alcohol. If I remember, Four Loko, something like 74%.
It's like it could definitely run the time machine DeLorean from.
You could have safely powered that dryer. with the
they could call it 1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah. What the two things that I wanted to just to revisit that video one more time. One, God, he was just 2 inches away from being 100% cooler. I'm talking about the black guy. Because if he had flipped it in his hand and not dropped it, and then all in one motion just clubbed the guy with it, I mean, that would have been that would have been phenomenal. That would have been some John Wick.
That would have been like Matrix, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then, but the patience of that man, because the guy, the white guy, he said the N-word like 3 times, and then the one dude's like. The black dude's like, just don't say it again.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, heed the advice. He's giving you 3 strikes and you're still in the fucking batter's box.
You're still swinging.
And of course, the guy's like, no, I'm not backing down. And even though it's one of those funny things too, like the guy who hit him committed a crime, but there is no way he is getting prosecuted.
No.
Some crimes, it's an open and shut, absolute assault case. I guarantee he never faced
with a weapon.
With a weapon, yeah. With
a weapon.
Yes. Yeah, but can you imagine? I mean, almost the best thing that ever is if he gets arrested, because if he starts a GoFundMe,
he'll
that's going to hit 7 digits.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
yeah.
without a doubt.
So the thing so outside of the fact that happened,
Yeah.
and the event itself was entertaining, to watch what people are able to do out there in the world with their technology,
Yeah,
and the internet, the memes that they're making and the videos they're making. So they got one. So basically, like I said, the guy drops the can and picks it up and swings it really extremely hard at this dude's
real
face.
hard.
And so the videos I've seen, somebody put the Phil Collins in the air tonight drum solo on it. It goes doo 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 across the dude's head with the bottle. And then somebody was like, I saw another one where they're like, they had the Queen zoom 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 zoom. People are really talented and have too much time on their hands during this pandemic, but it's very entertaining for sure. I made my own video, and if you want to go online at Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, I posted it too.
Is this one where you're taking a swing at 2020?
I took a swing at 2020 with my Twisted Tea.
Did you drop it first? Maybe that was all kind of like part of his plan. Like, I'm going to make him feel like, all right, things are settling down a little bit. And then, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'd be careful about talking trash to people with twisted teas in their hands or any kind of unidentified object.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone else in the store hated him. That was quite clear. He wasn't getting any backup from the other patrons. One was filming them because clearly something was about to go down. Because if you see someone in a store without a mask on, like it's worth pulling out your phone because something interesting is more likely than not about to happen.
There's no two ways around it. If you're walking around without a mask right now in a public space, especially like a store or like that, you're just an asshole. And there's no two ways about it. I don't care about your political stance. I don't care about what your feeling is about medical whatever you might have.
Mm-hmm.
It's people are dying. People are dead every single day because of not wearing a mask. And you will come in, and I've seen it a couple of times, like several times, where people are checking out. Like I've had people behind me and people in front of me. And the poor cashiers, they're just stuck, they're making $10 an hour and they're just like, excuse me, sir, would you like a mask? And the dude's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, who are you going to win over right now with this phony protest you're doing?
I don't know. Your other maskless friends, I guess. It's funny. So, I'm driving. I start in Jersey. Jersey's 100% masks. Everyone there is reasonable. Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, 100%, everywhere I see them. Even getting to Arkansas, Oklahoma. And then I have about 150 miles in goddamn Texas. And of course, every time we stop to get gas there's someone inside buying all of the goddamn Slim Jims without a mask. And then, the getting into their truck with tires that are too big. Yeah. And then immediately, into the next state, which was New Mexico, which, by the way, is as gorgeous of a state as I've ever been in. New Mexico is beautiful. Everything back to normal at that point. Yeah, this tiny little sliver right in North Texas. Of course, the machismo just has to, match the stereotypical Texas.
It's so lame. I swear. Hopefully, as we move forward into 2021, we'll have less and less of these discussions, less and less of these issues. But it's just at this point, it's just so dumb of an argument when people are clearly dying in our country because of it every single day, and it's so preventable. It's really not infringing on your rights, sir or ma'am, to wear a little mask on your face when you're outside for 5 minutes. It's not really that big of an issue.
It's really not. I know that people have turned it into a constitutional thing, and it's so obviously silly. But it was only that one state. Every other place that we went to, we stopped in Little Rock, which is an unbelievably beautiful little city. I did not know that, and it was a sucky trip in the sense that we went to places and then couldn't go to places.
Yeah,
because everything was shut. We were in Nashville, a few days after the bombing.
yeah.
That was sort of harrowing, but that's the first time I've gone from coast to coast, so that was pretty cool. And
That was pretty cool.
yeah, it was fun.
That's
but what I realized
for 2020,
yeah,
got a cross country trek.
Oh, and did I have already reached my quota of fast food for 2021. I hit Arby's, Burger King, McDonald's twice.
All the interstate fast foods.
All the interstate, yeah. Well, any traditions that you do for New Year's Eve there, Terry?
Actually, you know what? I usually, in my lameness, I sit up and watch Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone marathon every New Year's Eve. So
do they really?
Yeah,
the old one, the
old ones, the black and white, Rod Serling, black and white Twilight Zones, and I've seen them all like 1,000 times, but each one I watch it every year anyway. So
yeah.
How about yourself?
I used to, but again, it's like one of those things. I preserve holiday traditions, but New Year's Eve now it's kind of like, let's just see where the evening takes us, and where the evening is taking us tonight is bed. So
might have some Jello, go to bed.
Yeah. I'm sober now. I don't know. I've had problems with alcohol, so I'm drinking O'Doul's. And it's not bad. So, probably put back another 2 or 3 of these. We have a nice chicken recipe that we're trying out for the first time, and then I'll watch maybe Anderson Cooper get drunk.
That is very entertaining. I might take you up on that. I might watch a little Anderson Cooper tonight.
It's fun. I like that show, actually.
Yeah, it is interesting to watch him outside of his element.
Outside of his element, but clearly comfortable outside of his element.
Clearly.
Yeah. Well, let's get back on our regular schedule. I'll be in my new home on Sunday, and let's do this again on Tuesday, and it'll be 5 days into the new year at that point, and we'll sort of evaluate things as they go, I guess. The Georgia runoff election is that day.
Yes. Should be interesting.
Yeah, we should all have our $600. So we're starting off 2020 with some cash in our pockets.
Woohoo!
All right, man. Well, have a great night / early.
Yeah,
it's always fun, and we'll be back on Tuesday. And everybody have a lovely, lovely night and a happy New Year. And thanks for checking us out as always.
Always, man.